Negative feedback in insulin. In this slide right here, you could see right here what looks to be an insulin injection. And you'll see later on why some people need this insulin, this hormone, to be injected in their body rather than have it naturally produced. To the right, you see an image of the body, and right here you could see where the pancreas is, which is important for the insulin. Now, to begin with negative feedback and its relationship with insulin, it's important to know what exactly negative feedback is. And negative feedback is a response to a stimulus. So you could think of this as a security system right here. Now, when you arm the security system, its job is to alert something, is to create an alarm system when something that is not supposed to happen happens. So before you go to bed or while you're at home, you turn on this little security system. And at the time, it's not really doing anything. However, when a burglar comes into the home, that's when the security system acts and it responds to the outside intruder. So that is how negative feedback could be related to something outside of just anatomy and in the body. Now, insulin. Insulin is produced in the pancreas, and insulin is a hormone. It's responsible for converting your glucose and allowing it to be used by the body for energy and to be used by different cells. Now, some people, like you saw on the first slide, needed an insulin injection, and this is because of diabetes. Now, there are two types of diabetes, type 1 and type 2. To begin with type 1 is when the body does not produce any insulin, while type 2 is when the body produces the insulin and the pancreas is producing it. However, the insulin that is produced cannot be used by the cells, and the cells deny the insulin. So basically, the insulin that is used is worthless because the glucose that is in the body cannot be used for the energy. Now, relating this back to negative feedback, with this negative feedback and in relation to the hormone insulin, the main job of insulin is to ensure that the blood glucose levels are maintained and are at the certain point that they need to be. So, say you eat candy, like in this picture, you eat a lot of candy, so you got a lot of sugar, which means you got a lot of glucose. So, naturally, when you eat this, your body is going to have a lot of glucose in its blood. Its blood glucose level is going to be very high. So, the pancreas detects this change in the blood glucose level, and it secretes the hormone insulin from the pancreas. And then once insulin is secreted out of the pancreas, the negative feedback then is when it is applied, because the pancreas responded to the high intake of sugar. So after you eat a meal or after you have a lot of sugar, that is when your pancreas is put to work a lot because it is responding to the glucose intake. Now, if somebody were to have diabetes, for example, type 1 diabetes, that was when the body does not produce any insulin, then they would take insulin injections, which were seen in the first slide, and these injections would be used generally before or after a meal to try to counter the glucose injections. And if somebody were to have type 2 diabetes, when their body doesn't respond to the insulin, that is when lifestyle and dietary changes need to be made because of the body's reaction to the hormone.